Hi everyone, I'm Ryan with Talos Drones, and today we are doing a hardware comparison with the Talos T60X and the new DJI Agras T100. Alright, so we're going to start with the Talos T60X. I'm going to be working my way from top to bottom. So to start off, we're going to have the upward radar here. It is a multi-millimeter wave radar. There are going to be two of them. So there's one in the front, this is the top one, and there's one in the back right here on the landing gear. So both of those, they work in part of the safety system. And moving down to the binocular vision right here, another addition to the safety system, there's a dual camera binocular vision. And moving down to the bottom right here, we have the FPV camera. It is a fisheye lens. All four of these modules, they operate to help the drone do obstacle avoidance or do any type of obstacle detection and terrain following and everything. The tank, right now we have the Orchard kit on. So initially this has the 50-liter tank, which is around 13 gallons. This is the 60-liter tank. This one has 15.8 gallons. And along with the Orchard kit with this, you can have the additional dual nozzles. So by default, the drone comes with these two back nozzles located on the M4 and M3 arms. So these nozzles, they allow the drone to spray from 50 to 500 micrometers, but it won't look like this. We actually have because it's the Orchard kit, we have the mist spraying kit on. So these mist spraying nozzles, it basically is a pressurized nozzle versus the centrifugal nozzle. They allow the drone to go all the way down to 20 micrometer droplets. The payload size, or the absolute max payload, is 132 pounds. But that is with the spreading kit. So speaking of the spreading kit, it is a 80-liter capacity tank. It can spread around 190 kilos per minute, kilograms. And the swath width is about 26 feet for that spread tank. Speaking of the swath width as well, for the spraying, the swath width for this entire setup is essentially 36 feet. The flow rate for the spray system, basically everything kind of controlled through here. The flow rate is going to be basically by default with the two sprinklers, it's 5 gallons per minute. With the additional nozzles and with the upgraded Orchard kit, it's going to be around 7 gallons per minute. All right, so we have the motors here. The T60X is a quadcopter design. So it has one motor in comparison to something like the T50 where it has dual motors. This one only needs one, and it provides enough lift for the entire drone. And it also comes with just a singular ESC just because it is only one motor. All right, and lastly, the last thing I'm going to talk about is basically the spotlight. So it is coming with two front spotlights. It does not have a lower one, but these two are bright enough, and they provide plenty of light if you do some sort of night operation. So kind of moving back a little bit, we have this 36-pound battery, and it is not necessarily too heavy, but it provides, in comparison to something like the T50, it is a simple click in place, and you're good. With this lifting system that is a lot different than the T50, and you don't have to be clicking that button. All you have to do is just pick up, take off. And lastly, kind of just an additional spec, the speed of this drone can go up to about 45 feet per second. And that is it for the T60X. All right, so now I'm going to talk about the T100. So again, going top down, talk about the safety system. So this one has instead of a dual vision system, this one has a quad vision system. So we can see all 4 cameras on each side on the top of this radar here. And speaking of the radar, it actually has 3mm wave radars. So there is an upper, there is a lower right down here, and there is a rear one that is on the landing gear. So all combined with that, it also has another fisheye lens down here. All of these make up the safety system for obstacle avoidance as well. All right, so moving down, we have the most noticeable thing, the spray tank. Obviously, it is significantly bigger. It's 100 liters, 26 gallons. With this, we have the Orchard kit actually. So by normal, it's only gonna come with 2 sprayers on the boom arm. So that being said, it can allow 30 liters per minute on the default setting, which is about 7.9 gallons per minute. And then with the Orchard kit, it comes with those 2 additional nozzles on the boom arm. So you can see there's 2 there and 2 on this side. That allows it to reach up to 10 gallons per minute. So overall, this entire drone, max load, everything, it is 390 pounds. The max payload for this drone is 220 pounds. So it's a lot, you can carry a lot more. So kind of moving down a little bit over to the motors as well and the arms. So now it's a quadcopter design again, but this time we have a dual motor system. So there is an upper and a lower motor. That being said, there's 2 additional ESCs as well, but it is all merged into one. So it's one basically big ESC. When it comes to the internals, it is essentially 2, and it is a combined and moving on to controlling both motors. That being said, with the dual motor design, if one fails, your drone will not basically fall out of the sky. It is allowing having 2 motors here. If one motor on top fails, the other motor is able to compensate enough for you to land. All right, so there is one radar that I didn't discuss, part of the safety system, because save the best for last. It is the most biggest improvement to the DJI Agras drones. It is the LiDAR system. So this LiDAR system allows the drone to detect even like the most small obstacles. Bear in mind, it can detect power lines, but just for kind of like safety reasons, it is still advised to avoid them, and it is still not warranty if you crash into a power line. It all relies on you knowing your surroundings. So that being said, that makes up the entire safety system. So there's that, as I mentioned before, there's that quad view camera up on top. There's the 3 multimeter radars, and there's the LiDAR system and the fisheye lens. All right, so kind of moving down, we have the boom arms. So with this, we have the nozzle kit. So by default, I mentioned before, it has only the 2 spray nozzles here towards the very end. That is going to do the 7 gallons per minute flow rate. But with the nozzle kit, you get these 2 additional ones that make it reach that 10.5 gallon flow rate. All right, so we have the mist nozzle kit on here. Just like the T60X, it allows you to get to 20 micrometers versus the centrifugal nozzles. And like I said before, it's the 42 feet swath width. And speaking of width as well, a big thing about this drone now, it is that the top frame and the landing gear frame is completely removable. It is a simple, just detaching these 2 latches, and you just lift up the drone. So it's basically an whole different system. So that being said, instead of taking off the tank and adding on a whole new tank, now for the spreading system, it's an entirely whole different landing gear. So the spreading system on this, it allows 400 kilos per minute. It's basically that whole top and bottom modular design. It allows it to be a little bit more easy to transport. That being said too as well, both the T60X and the T100 are roughly, honestly, the size of them are comparable, but we can see here, the thing that's really impressive about the T100 is that with the dual motor design and just with all the amount of upgrades of this drone, it can basically carry significantly more than the T60X. Moving down here, we can see the spotlight. So this spotlight is a front view spotlight. And also there's additional ones up here. I'm not sure if you could see, but or at the bottom, yeah. There's additional lights at the bottom, so you actually have a front light and a bottom light, but those in combined with the LiDAR system, you basically get a complete night vision operation. So if you're operating at night, with the assistance of the spotlights and the LiDAR, your drone more or less has night vision, so it can see at night. That being said, overall, this whole drone it can fly around 65 feet per second. So with that high lift and high weight capacity, it needs to bring up that power, which is allowing it to get to that max. It is able to go up to 65 feet per second, but just so you know as well, 45 feet per second is the absolute, like, that's the max for warranty. So if you're flying faster than that, and you hit something, that is not covered in warranty. Moving on to the battery itself. So just like the T60X, it has that same lifting. So there's no attachments, just like how it was on the T50. And again, also like the T60X, we have these solid pins that I forgot to mention on it, but they are there. Basically allowing for an easier, more secure fit. And just like the T60X as well, you can see how the locks disengage when I lift up this, and it's a simple bring up and good to go. One thing I will say is that the battery is 32 pounds, so it's slightly lighter than the T60X batteries, but this drone is a bit higher than the T60X. So you're gonna get a little bit more of a workout just trying to get this battery over top and on, versus with the T60X, I can leverage my body a bit more and carry it easier. All right, so with the T100, one thing that is kind of like important to mention, I said before that the top and bottom half are modular. So the top airframe and the landing gear, you can just take it off and put it onto, let's say, like a spreading system. There is actually an additional accessory that comes with the T100. It is the lifting system. So there is a lifting system. We usually sell the dual battery system. So that allows 2 batteries. That is for essentially transporting goods. So if you want to, let's say someone's out in the field, maybe like a tractor goes down or maybe another drone goes down, you can actually use the lifting system to carry parts, carry material, carry fertilizer, any type of product over to that area. And yeah. All right, so finishing off with the final comparison, the T60X is a lot more eco-friendly, a lot more smaller, and it still can get the job done, but comparison to the T100, the T100, even with the dual motor system, it is meant for heavy duty situations, the gigantic payload, everything like that. It is pretty much it is a heavy duty drone for big operations. So ideally, roughly somewhere around like hundreds of acres, you would consider this. Versus the T60X, if you have something like roughly like maybe like 80 acres or just like 100 acres, you would probably want to go for more of the T60 end, because our whole thing for drones is to save costs on farmers versus something like a gigantic tractor. So don't have to spend money where you don't need to, just pretty much pay for whatever you need. And yeah, so that is the pretty much breakdown of like the hardware comparison of each of these drones. To kind of like boil it down, again, the T100, T60X, they're roughly the same size, but the T100 has a lot more upgrades and a lot more efficiency with motor design, the safety system and everything like that. It is meant for a lot more heavy duty operations. The T60X is more eco-friendly, a lot easier to carry around, a lot easier to travel. Yeah, it is more meant for kind of like your small to medium operations. All right, again, I'm Ryan with Talos Drones, and that was the hardware comparison with the Talos T60X and the DJI Agras T100.